Welcome on in, FG fam, to another episode of the Colorado Rockies franchise on MLB The Show 22. Another franchise means more draft episodes, and if you've seen any of those on this channel, I take great pride in putting in a lot of work and effort onto these, so please, if I could get everybody to drop a like if you do enjoy at any point throughout this video. Thank you so much for all your kind words and support on the series thus far. Continue commenting as often as you possibly can. Help this series out. If you love your favorite creators, you should comment and you should like all their videos because it really does go a long way to helping them out. Not just here on this channel, but everywhere. Thank you guys for everything you do. The format of this episode is going to be a little bit different as draft picks are in categories here in this one, such as college, high school, and international. First up is our NCAA prospects at the collegiate level. We have 13 players from 9 different schools and some interesting storylines to get to, so let's get into it. The Notre Dame Fighting Irish were 17-1 on the season in games going into the 9th inning with a lead, and that is due to their fantastic closer, James Franco Rogan. Growing up in Kentucky, Franco Rogan always liked Notre Dame for some reason, and he always dreamed of playing there. He is a shutdown guy with a devastating curveball and potential to be one of the best clutch closers in the game one day. Watch out for this 20-year-old strikeout machine in the near future, as he won't take too much developing in the minors to be ready to come up and close for his new team. The Los Angeles Angels have selected him in the first round of this year's draft. Good luck, Mr. James Franco Rogan. While the Irish were a good team, they weren't good enough to defeat the Syracuse Orange in the ACC championship game. Syracuse had some top-notch talent, including a guy who could potentially be the best player in baseball one day in left fielder Kaz Benjamin. Kaz Benjamin is one of our channel member prospects. The Maryland native took a chance at reinvigorating the Syracuse baseball program that had been defunct for years. He's a very raw yet talent and is already 21 years old, but there's many scouts that say he will blossom within the next few years with the right coaching. The Washington Nationals agreed with that assessment, selecting him with their first-round pick. His teammate, Derek Watson, is the best relief pitcher in the draft class, hands down. The Indiana native did not have the grades Notre Dame was looking for, but Syracuse's new program was hot on him in recruiting. He chose to go there. The 21-year-old already has the ability to get into the pen for some of the lesser teams in Major League Baseball, but if he can get a little bit of time to develop his control in the minors, as he should, since the New York Yankees have selected him, then he can be a solid setup man one day, as he is a very high strikeout guy with great velocity and break. He needs some work on the occasional walk, though, and he should have that time to work with the Yankees. They selected him with their 3rd round pick this year, so he has potential to be a hidden gem. Out in the Midwest, the Wisconsin Badgers had a solid team this season, and they were led by the freshman sensation left fielder Lee Bowen. Lee is a contact-hitting, speedy outfielder who needs a little bit more work on his vision and discipline at the plate, as well as fielding to make the bigs. However, he's not short on potential, and his drive this year in getting the Badgers to the Big Ten title game got him selected in the first competitive balance round by the New York Mets. The Mets are hoping he can develop into a solid starter for them one day. Wisconsin's season was ended in that Big Ten title game, however, by the Michigan Wolverines, who were not short on talent this year, led by 2 guys who are extremely raw players, but they possess immense talent. First up, third baseman Michael McHugh. Now, Mike doesn't have any wild strengths at the moment, but nor does he have any devastating flaws. He's got some good speed and stealing ability that doesn't really come with every corner infielder nowadays. The Michigan senior captain was taken in the first competitive balance round by the Boston Red Sox. Then his teammate, catcher Jack Williams IV, is a junior that could have been captain next year, but he decided to forego his senior season and become a second-round selection by the San Francisco Giants. Some say he's got more potential than McHugh, but McHugh's the better player right now. Right now, Williams can only hit lefties, and he's decent at blocking bad pitches. behind the plate. The rest of his game is going to need a ton of work at the major league level. We'll see if he has the drive to put that work in. The final 4 teams in the College World Series had some wild battles. Bowling Green was led by their one-man third baseman Robert Wright. Now, Robert was told that he wasn't good enough to make the team at Ohio State, so he put in a transfer to Bowling Green, where he became a MAC Conference Player of the Year and an All-American this year. That propelled the senior to be selected in the first round by the Toronto Blue Jays. He is a very good contact hitter who rarely misses a game, and despite not having top-notch speed, he does know how to steal the bases. Most players in MLB drafts are very, very raw and take a long time to come up to the majors. Well, not this next guy. Alabama's catcher Nick Tolbert could be ready right now. Many scouts question just how much better he can get, being that he hit .472 in college. He has great vision and discipline at the plate and is one of the most clutch hitters we've seen in the NCAA. He was only a junior this year and he could still improve, but will he? Well, the White Sox think he will, as they selected him in the second round of this draft, and some say he could be the steal of the entire draft. Ultimately, Alabama lost the College World Series to the winner of this next matchup right here. Both of these teams had a ton of talent, as the UCLA Bruins had 2 Pac-12 All-Americans. Let's talk about them. Center fielder Colin Mentor, a channel member prospect, has impressed a lot of scouts this year with blinding speed and insane stealing ability. Some called him the second coming of Ricky Henderson. I don't know. Constant bunt hits did get him the name, but now he needs to develop more of an all-around game rather than just speed. If he doesn't, what kind of potential does he really have? Well, the in-state San Diego Padres think he has a lot of potential, and they took him in the first round. Collins' teammate, third baseman Miles Burrow, was the better player this year, as he wasn't just a Pac-12 All-American, but he was also the conference's Player of the Year. His contact and combination of vision and discipline and clutch hitting earned him that right with a .527 average. Scary, right? He also has above-average fielding and is surprisingly sneaky on the base paths. The Oakland A's were extremely happy to select him in the second round somehow. All that talent for third place in Hollywood, as the Florida Gators were the champs this year. Why? Well, the talent. Oh, the talent. Oh, yeah! Their left fielder, Nick Opple, is another dude who could be the steal of the draft when all is said and done. He's 19 years old, and he was just a sophomore this year. He's a terrific contact hitter already with good speed who just needs a little bit of time to develop, and he could be an all-star level player. He also happens to be the only switch hitter to get drafted from the NCAA this year, and he should be fun to watch in the St. Louis Cardinals organization. That's where he's headed after being taken with their second-round pick. They also had the best starter in the NCAA this season down in Florida, who went 16-2 with a 1.15 ERA and a .98 whip in Everett Bradford. Now, you would have thought that he would have gone sooner, but the scouts weren't looking for the 22-year-old redshirt senior who was the third pitcher in Florida's rotation this year. Yeah, look out for more guys from that pipeline down the line. Bradford pitches deep into games, but his velocity maybe isn't where it should be to impress MLB scouts. Well, the Boston Red Sox figured it would be worth it to take a flyer on him, and they did so with their 4th-round selection, which was their 7th out of 9 overall selections in the draft. Then there's the odd man out, starting pitcher Homer Klink Jr. Now, Homer is a 20-year-old sophomore redshirt from Ohio State who, despite living in Tennessee, he was born and raised in Ohio, and he was always a Buckeye fan through and through. So he committed and immediately took a red shirt. A little bit disappointed he was, but he had 2 amazing seasons for OSU, going 28-6 with a 1.49 ERA and 1.12 whip in his 40 starts for the squad. Homer, unfortunately, never had a team around him to be able to compete with the best teams in the country, however, and he decided to enter the draft this year instead of go back for his senior season. It paid off, as his crazy breaking slider and high-velocity 4- and 2-seam fastballs caught the attention of every team in the league, and he's going to be joining the Baltimore organization as the number 1 overall pick in this year's draft Welcome to the Orioles, Homer Klink Jr. He figures not to take long to make their rotation and become one of the best pitchers in baseball if all goes as trending. Watch out for this channel member prospect. Taking a short break from prospects in America, let's move on over to the international side of things. We'll start with 21-year-old shortstop from France, Eli Frost. Now, Frost is a bit of a jack of all trades, but he's really a master of none, and he's going to need some solid time in the minors before he's ready to take on the majors. However, many scouts do believe he has a lot of really great potential to do so, and he can be a very good contact-hitting shortstop for a very lucky organization. The Kansas City Royals hope that they are the lucky organization in this story, as they have selected him with their second-round pick. Italy's center fielder Willie Roberts is another extremely raw prospect, but unlike Frost, he is a master at something: base running. He's fast and he has great base path awareness and aggressiveness. He'll have to develop his bat and glove, though, if he wants to make the majors, but scouts say he can develop into an amazing center fielder if he's given that kind of time. We'll see if he gets that kind of time in the Cleveland Guardians organization if they selected him with their first-round pick. Next up, Germany's left fielder Carl Paxton. At just 19, he rarely misses a game, an Iron Man of sorts in Deutschland. And he has very good speed and excellent ability to swipe some bags. Now he really just needs to develop his bat and his arm to be a solid left fielder for the Texas Rangers, who have selected him with their first-round pick of this draft. Another raw prospect with amazing potential right here. 21-year-old shortstop Rory Wilson from Australia is similar to all of these international prospects that we've talked about thus far, in that he's mostly speed right now and just very raw at the plate and in the field. But he is further along than the others right now, and he's got a shot at starting in Double-A instead of Single-A ball. The rival Arizona Diamondbacks think that they are getting a very nice steal, selecting him in the second round. We'll see if that works out for them. Relief pitcher Tuivailala Samuel from South Korea is another 21-year-old raw prospect. He's a channel member prospect, and he's the most raw yet. But he can throw a baseball through plywood with his velocity, and he doesn't give up many home runs. And that's the kind of potential and raw ability that the rival San Diego Padres thought of when they wanted to bring him in the fourth round. Hopefully he doesn't kill us in the majors in a few years. Canada was home to some great players this year, one of those being right fielder Barry O'Brien. Now, Barry has enough speed and a really good bat. He does need to work on his glove and his plate presence to get to the majors, but he has a lot of talent at the age of 22. He could figure to start out in Double-A and maybe skip to the majors in a year or two. Barry O'Brien was the first selection for the Miami Marlins this year, but he's got a teammate. Also, with Canada, is O'Brien's best friend and teammate since high school, shortstop Alexander Quesnel. Now, Quesnel is 20, and he might turn out to be just as good, if not better, than O'Brien. In the same game that O'Brien hit a home run, Quesnel homered 3 times, all to left field. He also has more speed than O'Brien right now, but as a younger prospect, he's considered more raw by scouts at the moment. However, that did not deter the Oakland A's from taking him in the first round of this year's draft. Oakland A's putting together a nice draft as well. The international tournament title game came down between two South American countries as the Dominican Republic took down Cuba. Now, Cuba should have no shame considering the 2 starting pitchers that dominated the best-of-3 series that ended in a 2-0 sweep. Ramon Morales, a 19-year-old phenom, pitched a complete game 1-hit shutout with 15 strikeouts. He possesses insane velocity and very good control for a prospect. Morales is a wonderful righty pitcher, and the Chicago Cubs taking him with their first selection shows that. Before we go to the Dominican lefty pitcher, this is Sean Soto. Now, Sean was a center fielder for the national team there this year, and he's also 19 years old. Good speed, solid contact, and amazing durability. Never missed a single game in his life. He's extremely raw, but the New York Yankees had a late pick, and they saw how important he was to the Dominican Republic offensively. They were keen on him, and they took him late in the first round. Now, on to that lefty pitcher. 19-year-old TNJ, another channel member prospect. His Game 2 outing was not as good as Morales in Game 1. He only went 8 innings, allowed a hit, and a walk, but he struck out 15 as well. Yeah, not much different at all. These guys are going to take the majors by storm. Now, NJ is not a strong strikeout guy, but he doesn't allow too many hits as he's mostly a ground ball pitcher with a really nice splitter. He doesn't throw very hard, but his break is very good. If he can get his control as together as Morales, he'll make the Tampa Bay Rays very happy, especially since they somehow got him in the second round. It would also be really interesting if when he came up, he had a pitch against Sean Soto, his former teammate. Cuba may have lost, but they've got a really nice prospect who basically carried them to the title game. The 22-year-old channel member prospect shortstop, Vinny Dubman II. Now, Vinny is another very raw prospect, but he is extremely durable. He has a good arm, and he can hit for contact and has enough speed on the base paths to do some serious damage. He enters the league as the first rounder for the New York Mets this year, so he has a chance to go against Soto in city. This is going to be crazy. Well, we checked out the NCAA and the international prospects. Let's look at some high schoolers who skipped both avenues. They're going right to the league from high school. Let's start with Walrusburg, PA High School Wild Things and their outfielder, Coco Titcomb. Now, Coco played center field in high school, but he figures as a corner outfielder in the minors and beyond, as a jack-of-all-trades, master of none, you get it type of guy. Not only that, but he had a rough outing with some scouts in the house in a big game, and it caused him to slide into the first competitive balance round, where our rivals, the Los Angeles Dodgers, ended up taking a chance on him as a guy who definitely has talent and potential, but scouts wonder if he's ever going to have the drive to realize it. It doesn't help that he was a part of a 27-0 shutout loss handed to the Wild Things by this very next prospect. Meet this man, starting pitcher Neville Newcastle, channel member prospect from the Bowles, Maryland High School Bulldogs. Now, Bulldogs fit Newcastle as he is rough and tough on that pitching rubber. He went a complete game with 5 hits allowed and 13 strikeouts to beat Walrusburg for the East Regional title. He goes really deep into games, barely gives up hits or home runs, and has wonderful velocity with solid control. He could be a starter in the rotation of a bad team already. He was a very high selection in this year's draft, going in the first round of the Kansas City Royals. We'll see if they put him in the starting rotation right away or they make him wait a year. Next up, in the high school ranks, we have the first baseman, Jay Hunter, of the Dubman, Illinois High School Demons. Now, Jay, like Coco, had it rough in a big game. However, he was able to get a home run in his game to provide the only run for his team, and scouts noticed this. He hit it in the top of the first to give his Demons the early 1-0 lead. He's extremely raw, MLB-wise, at the plate and doesn't have great speed or a good glove, but he is a bit of an Ironman for a 19-year-old kid, and he's going to need the practice. The potential is there to be a perennial all-star, but he's got to work at it. The Tampa Bay Rays believe in that work ethic, and they took him with their first competitive balance pick, and may or may not end up moving him to third base. Unfortunately for his Demons, they did face a demon, the starting pitcher for the Bishop Wickedmore High School Roosters in California, and that's Ben Parker. Ben went a complete game 2-hitter with 12 strikeouts, with one of those 2 hits being that home run to Jay Hunter. He was also a part of one of the biggest wins in high school baseball history, a 43-1 game that took 5.5 hours. The pitchers in this class are absolutely insane, and Parker is no different. He's got excellent break, very high velocity, and the combo is treacherous for hitters. He goes deep into games, high strikeout, low walk, and he's only 18 years old. He could end up being the best player from this draft class, and the rival Arizona Diamondbacks wasted no time getting him early in the first round. 18-year-old channel member first baseman David Morse is from Robertsfield, Ohio, and he plays for the Robertsfield High School Raptors. Now, he's got a very strong swing with natural power, but his plate presence is awful and caused him to strike out far too much. However, he was able to lead the Raptors to a national high school title with his raw power, something that is hard to teach, and something that the Miami Marlins knew was necessary to snatch up, as they took him in the second round. The team the Raptors beat in the title game? Well, that was the Solitude High School Crusaders in Las Vegas, Nevada. Their lineup left a little bit to be desired, but they did have a lockdown closer in close games this year. Channel member closer Rigoberto Ramirez Jr. Now, he's really clutch, doesn't give up a lot of hits, he's got very solid break and velocity for a raw prospect. It would behoove him to learn a fourth pitch, but his fastball, curveball, changeup combo is pretty devastating for now. He's not going to be ready for a couple of years, but he could be dominant when his new team, the Cincinnati Reds, bring him up. And he went to the Cincinnati Reds with their first round pick. Congratulations. Whew. All that is just your players getting selected. If you weren't selected this time around, you're going to have more chances in the series in the future. And I do want to mention that channel members are going to get slight ratings bumps, and I'll be showing everybody's ratings and giving prospect yearly updates during off-season videos most likely. Obviously, the way the MLB draft is, no one will even be in the minors until the start of the next year. So now I'm throwing another wrinkle into the series. Whether you have a player now or you plan to get one in the future, it doesn't matter. I'll be putting a secret word at some point in every single video to see who watches them and pays attention and can answer correctly. And if you can correctly identify and comment the secret word in the comments section each time, I'm going to reply with a number of how many points you earn. It will likely be based on first come, first serve, getting higher points and all that stuff, and maybe even adding a streak in. I don't know. I'll do it as I see fit. If you comment the answer first, you'll likely get the most points. Now, once you get to 50 points, you can add 5 attribute points to your player. So, say you're a position player who earned 150 points by the time you get a player in the series, right? Then you can add 15 points to his attributes, plus 5 in contact versus lefties, plus 5 in contact versus righties, plus 5 in clutch. There you go. There's your 15 points. That's an example right there. I think it helps your players have a bigger impact throughout the series, even if they're on other teams. And it gives you guys an incentive for getting here, supporting the channel, and be sure to like the videos as well. Now, all that, and we haven't even seen the Rockies draft prospects. Well, here they are. Our first rounder was shortstop Johnny Bridges, a 21-year-old from Louisiana. I love his skill set. The speed at 86, the contact numbers are high, the fielding is solid enough, the vision, discipline, clutch combo is great. We just needed to get him in the weight room, and the Rockies fans will start screaming, Troy Tulowitzki, who? Our second pick went to 18-year-old starting pitcher from Indiana, Dino Suarez. Great name aside, Dino has insane velocity and both a 4-seam and 2-seam fastball to play with it. His walks per 9 is great, stamina's fine, and the break is there to go with the velocity. He just really needs the control to make his way into our poor pitching rotation. In the third round, we took 22-year-old Puerto Rican closer Marco Guardado. And you thought Dino's velocity was great? Ha! Marco throws some Super Mario flame balls out there. A high strikeout guy who is clutch and has solid control and break to go with that excellent velocity. I look forward to him taking our closing spot over our closer by committee that we have right now. Now, the rest of the draft wasn't as amazing for us, but I see some silver linings here. 19-year-old reliever Peter Rodriguez from New York has really nice velocity and break as a high strikeout guy who doesn't give up many long balls, but he doesn't really have great potential. Maybe that can change with some growth in the minors. Potential can change in this game. Then we took another shot on another reliever, 21-year-old Eugene Chadwick from Wisconsin. He figures to be a solid long reliever one day with good stamina. He also possesses a knack for striking hitters out and not walking them. His pitches move a ton, but his velocity is mediocre at best, and his control is even more concerning right now. The quote-unquote worst pick was our 6th-round shot at a 19-year-old starter, Delman Sabel of the Netherlands. Now, Delman has the lowest potential of anybody we selected, but he's also the most MLB ready right now. He has great ability to get deep into games while keeping the walks down. The velocity is there, reaching 96 on his fastball, and he's got good breaking balls in his curveball and change. Like Chadwick, though, he has concerning control. Hopefully some of these guys can iron the kinks out in the minors next year, but we have indeed decided to sign each and every single one of them. Now, I ask you, who is your favorite prospect that the Rockies have selected in this draft? Let me see draft grades in the comments section below from some of you. And don't forget to drop a like if you enjoyed our first draft episode of the series. Give me any constructive criticisms that you may have if you didn't like it. And how can I do better? Your first secret word of the series is bridges. If you're new, please hit that subscribe button and come back for more episodes of the Colorado Rockies franchise mode. If you haven't checked out the Northern Michigan Team Builder Dynasty on College Football Revamped, I got a short playlist you can check out in this end card right now. Thank you guys so much, and don't forget to go into the description for links to the Discord and the Twitch. Come hang out just outside of YouTube. I love you all, FG fam, and I'll catch you next time.